A cold wind cut across the empty space station as human ships and alien vessels hovered above the planet. No one wanted to land. The planet was known across the galaxy as the lair of a living nightmare, a beast so large and ancient that entire fleets had vanished near its shadows. Its master, the Ravenous Queen, ruled with fear, and her creatures were said to eat stars for fun. Most species avoided this world, giving it a wide berth. Only scavengers or desperate explorers ever dared to come near. The station scanners flickered as they detected movement on the planet below. The readings showed a massive creature chained to the ground. Its scales shimmered with colors no human eye had names for, and its breathing sent tremors through the mountains. The creature's eyes opened slowly, golden and burning with hunger. Ships above stayed silent, trembling in fear. No one moved to help it. Everyone thought it was too dangerous to touch. Among the crew of one small human salvage ship, fear was normal. Commander Jalen Reeve, a young man with reckless instincts, stared at the readings with wide eyes. "That thing, it's alive," he whispered. Other humans on his ship argued. "It will kill us," said Mara, the ship's engineer. "We should leave now before it notices us." But Jalen could not look away. There was something about the beast's eyes, something beyond hunger or rage. There was pain. "Look at it," Jalen said quietly. "It's not attacking. It's hurting. It's trapped." The others shook their heads. Aliens aboard nearby ships sent warning signals, ordering everyone to leave immediately. But Jalen ignored them. He slipped on his suit and climbed into a small landing pod. The others called after him, but the sound of their voices faded. They did not understand what he felt. No one ever did when humans acted on instinct. The landing pod dropped through the atmosphere with a whine. Fire burned across the shields and the ground rushed up to meet him. When he landed, the chains holding the beast rattled, but the creature did not attack. It just lifted its massive head and looked at him, blinking slowly. The sound it made was not a roar. It was a groan, low and trembling, like a creature that had waited for centuries for relief. Jalen knelt near the chains. They were enormous, made of some metal heavier than anything humans had on Earth. He could not remove them alone, but he did not care. He brought out a small energy pack from his suit and set it on the ground. The pack hummed softly as it released warmth and nutrients. The beast lowered its head closer. Its hot breath blew across Jalen's face, but he did not flinch. He smiled slightly. "Easy," he whispered. "I'm not here to hurt you." The creature blinked again, its enormous eyes studying him. Jalen felt a shiver run down his spine. Every muscle in its body was tense, every claw ready, yet it did nothing. The chains rattled again as it tried to move closer, but the metal held it tight. Jalen's heart raced, but he stayed calm. He had no reason to fight. All he had was a desire to help. Above, the station and ships watched in silence. The aliens could not understand why a human would approach. They had never seen this species act without fear, without self-preservation. To them it was madness. To Jalen it was common sense. The creature did not want to fight. It wanted freedom or at least relief from pain. Jalen did not have the power to free it, but he could give it something better for now. He opened the pack, releasing a warm mist that smelled faintly like food but was energy-rich. The beast sniffed, hesitated, and then slowly lowered its massive snout. Jalen held his hand out, trembling slightly. The beast touched his glove gently with its nose. Sparks of energy flowed through the contact. The chains rattled again, and the beast let out a low growl that sounded almost like a sigh. Jalen laughed softly. "You're not a monster," he said. "You're just hurt." The alien ships above blinked in confusion. They had never seen a human act like this. They were used to aggression, to defense, to hiding. But this human did not hide. He did not run. He gave. He shared. And the beast responded. Its eyes softened, and for the first time it seemed calm. Jalen spent hours feeding the creature with small packs from his ship. He spoke to it quietly, telling it stories of Earth, of oceans and deserts, of cities and forests. The beast listened, tilting its massive head as if it understood every word. At one point, it lowered its head fully, resting it on the ground near Jalen's knee. He touched its scales lightly. They were warm, alive, pulsing with energy and pain alike. As night fell on the planet, the stars reflecting off the beast's scales made it seem like a moving constellation. Jalen stayed by its side, refusing to leave. Other humans might have called this foolish, but he did not care. He knew that sometimes courage did not mean fighting. Sometimes courage meant staying when everyone else fled. He felt something he could not explain. A connection, as if the creature knew he was not like the others. Suddenly the ground shook. A warning siren blared in Jalen's suit. Something was approaching. He looked up to see a shadow crossing the sky, larger than any ship he had ever seen. The Ravenous Queen herself, or at least one of her massive warships, was coming. Jalen froze for a moment, then whispered to the beast, "Stay calm. Don't panic. We're okay." The creature looked at him, golden eyes wide, and seemed to understand. For a moment the universe held its breath. A human, alone and reckless, had approached an ancient monster. And that monster had accepted him. The fleets above trembled, unsure what would happen next. The chains that had bound the beast for centuries rattled, but it did not roar. It only waited, eyes fixed on Jalen. And for the first time, someone realized that perhaps the beast was not the danger. Perhaps the real wonder was the human brave enough to stand beside it. Jalen stood close to the beast as the shadow of the approaching warship darkened the land. The other humans in his crew shouted through their radios, their voices frantic. "Get out now. You'll die." Mara's voice trembled, filled with panic. But Jalen ignored them. He had never felt fear like this. Not for himself. Not for the beast. Something inside him told him that leaving would be wrong. He knelt beside the massive creature and opened another energy pack. Its golden eyes followed him, full of curiosity and cautious hope. The chains rattled slightly, reminding Jalen of how dangerous the situation could be, but he refused to move away. He spoke softly, trying to calm the beast. "I'm not your enemy. I just want to help." His voice was steady even though his heart raced. Above, alien ships began to hover, scanning him. A few ships fired warning beams, cutting the air and shaking the ground around him. Jalen did not flinch. He raised his hands slowly, showing he carried no weapons. The beast shifted slightly, sensing that these humans were different from the others. It lowered its massive head closer to Jalen. The other humans in his crew could not understand what he was doing. They thought he was crazy. Jalen placed the energy pack on the ground, letting it hum and release warmth. The beast sniffed it, hesitated, then slowly ate. Each movement was cautious but deliberate. The golden eyes followed every small motion Jalen made. Slowly the creature began to relax. Its muscles loosened and the tremor in its body faded. For centuries no one had approached it without weapons. No one had ever cared enough to feed it, to touch it, to speak gently. The human had no plan. He could not fight the Queen's fleet. He could not free the chains. He had nothing but small packs of energy and a reckless choice to stay. Yet that choice was powerful. In the eyes of the creature and even the alien observers, it made sense. The human was different. He was not afraid of the impossible. "Good, good," Jalen whispered, patting the beast's scaled snout. Sparks of energy ran through the contact, pulsing between them. The beast blinked slowly, understanding perhaps for the first time that it was not alone. Jalen smiled faintly. He could feel a bond forming, something invisible and stronger than any chain. He realized he was not just helping it survive. He was showing it trust, something it had not known for centuries. Suddenly, one of the alien ships fired a warning pulse. The ground shook, sending small rocks rolling across the landscape. Jalen remained calm. He crouched lower beside the beast and whispered, "Ignore them. They do not understand." The beast growled softly, not in anger but as if it agreed. Its massive claws dug slightly into the dirt, steadying itself, but it did not lash out. It trusted the human in front of it more than the observers above. The alien observers began to communicate with each other frantically. They could not believe what they were seeing. "That human is feeding it?" one asked in disbelief. "No species should do this," another said. "It is madness." But madness, it seemed, was the point. Jalen acted without reason, without strategy. He acted with care. That care was stronger than any weapon, stronger than fear. Hours passed. The sun of the dying planet moved across the sky, casting long shadows. Jalen stayed beside the beast, feeding it small energy packs and speaking softly. He told it stories, repeating simple phrases over and over, hoping it would understand that he meant no harm. Slowly the creature began to move with less tension. Its chains rattled less. Its massive body no longer trembled. Even its breathing became steadier, slower, calmer. Jalen realized that his choice was irrational to everyone else. The fleet above, the alien observers, even his own crew thought he was throwing his life away. But he felt a strange certainty in his heart. Sometimes survival did not mean running. Sometimes survival meant standing still and caring. And in that act, even the impossible could begin to change. The beast lowered its huge head completely, resting it on the ground near Jalen. The human reached out, letting his hand brush the scales. They were warm, alive, and pulsing. Sparks of energy ran between them as if the connection was electric. Jalen smiled faintly. He whispered, "See? You're not alone." Above, the Queen's warship loomed, enormous and silent. Its sensors scanned the area, detecting the human and the beast. The alien commanders hovered their ships, ready to attack if needed. But the human made no move to fight. He had no weapons, no shields, no fleet, only care and courage. And the beast responded. The human's irrational choice began to show results. The creature, once furious and wild, was calmer, almost obedient, but in its own way. Its golden eyes followed Jalen, not with fear, not with hunger, but with attention. It had chosen to trust a species that had never shown it kindness. It had chosen to follow someone who acted against logic, against reason, against the instincts of survival. Jalen stayed with the beast until night fell. The stars shone above, reflecting off its massive scales. The energy packs were empty, but the connection remained. He knew he could not free it, but he could make it understand he meant no harm. The creature's breathing slowed further, a sound like a rumbling river. For the first time in centuries, it was not raging or panicked. It waited. It listened. It watched. A soft rumble echoed from the ground. Another fleet of ships approached. This time the humans called frantically, their voices full of terror. "Jalen, get out. You'll die." But he shook his head. He could not leave. Not now. Not when the creature had learned to trust him. The galaxy might call his actions madness, irrational, even suicidal, but to Jalen, it was the only choice that made sense. He touched the beast gently one last time before night fully fell. "We'll be okay," he whispered. "Just stay with me." The creature shifted, lowering its massive head further. The chains rattled, but it did not struggle. It had decided. And for a human alone, standing on a planet feared by all, that was victory enough. In that moment, all the observers, human and alien alike, began to realize something new. The human species did not always act with logic. It did not always act with caution. But when it acted with courage and care, even the impossible could respond. The galaxy watched in disbelief, because a single reckless human had done something no one else dared. He had begun to save an ancient, ravenous creature. The Ravenous Queen watched from her massive command ship, hidden above the planet. Her eyes, sharp and cold, followed every movement below. She had ruled countless worlds, crushed empires, and commanded beasts older than stars. Nothing surprised her anymore, until now. She had seen the creature, her ancient beast, lying calm beside a human. Not a soldier, not a mercenary, but a single, small human. Alone. No weapons. No fleet. Only presence. Her golden eyes narrowed as she observed the scene. The human moved carefully, speaking softly to the massive creature. The chains rattled lightly as the beast shifted, but it did not roar, did not strike. The queen had expected terror, panic, and resistance. That was normal. That was predictable. But what she saw now was something she had not considered: trust. The beast was beginning to trust a human. Her commanders beside her murmured in confusion. "Majesty, the human is feeding it," one whispered. "This is impossible. All species fear it. All species flee." Another said, "It is a reckless choice. It will die." The queen's lips twisted into a faint smile. "Perhaps," she said, her voice like ice. "Or perhaps, it is the first human who understands it. Watch carefully. Observe the impossible." The queen's gaze returned to the planet. She saw Jalen kneeling beside the beast, offering small energy packs. The creature sniffed them, hesitant at first, then lowered its massive head to eat. The human's hand brushed its scales, and the sparks of energy flickered between them. The queen blinked, almost imperceptibly. She had never seen a human act with courage in this way. They were fragile, weak, and usually foolishly brave. But this one was different. She leaned forward slightly. "Tell me," she said to her commanders, "have any other species approached my beast like this?" They shook their heads. "No, Majesty. None. All flee or attack. They fear it too much." She considered that. The galaxy had taught her that only strength mattered. Fear was the ultimate weapon. Obedience came from power. Yet here was a small human, and the beast did not destroy him. It waited. It obeyed in its own way. The queen's mind raced. She had controlled this creature for centuries through chains, threats, and fear. But no chain could bind the truth. The beast responded to this human's calmness, his care. That was new. That was dangerous in a way she could not predict. She had never faced obedience through kindness. It made her uncomfortable. It made her curious. On the planet below, Jalen continued his work. He spoke softly, "You're safe for now. Just relax. Nothing will hurt you here. The beast blinked slowly and shifted slightly closer. Sparks of energy ran through the contact of their hands. Above, the queen's eyes followed every small motion. Her massive ship hummed, the lights flickering as if the universe itself were watching. The commanders whispered nervously. "Majesty, should we intervene?" one asked. "Shall we attack the human? Remove the threat." The queen's golden eyes blazed. She considered it. The human had no weapons, no ships, no army. Yet he had captured something far greater than brute force. He had captured the beast's attention. She felt a strange twinge, an emotion she had not expected. Was it respect? Curiosity? Confusion? Perhaps all three. She leaned back in her chair, studying the human. He was reckless, irrational, defiant, brave in a way no other human had ever been. And the creature, it responded to him like a student to a teacher, like a companion to a friend. The queen's lips curved slightly. She wondered what the human saw that others had missed. Perhaps he saw the beast's suffering, its pain and its loneliness. Perhaps he saw what she had forgotten in all her years of conquest, that even the strongest creature could be changed by care. Her mind turned over possibilities. If this human failed, the fleet above would destroy him and she would reclaim her beast. But if he succeeded, what then? Could the galaxy survive a human who could reach her beast? Could she? These thoughts made her uneasy. She had never allowed a creature to choose freely. Yet here, centuries of control were challenged by one small, reckless human. The queen watched as night fell on the planet. Stars reflected off the creature's scales, creating a pattern that looked almost like the universe itself. The human knelt beside it, whispering words that were soft but steady. The beast's breathing slowed, its massive body relaxed. Sparks of energy ran between them, small flickers that could have been mistaken for fireflies, but were more powerful than any weapon in the queen's arsenal. She felt an unexpected sensation, something like admiration. Perhaps it was respect for courage. Perhaps it was awe at simplicity. She had ruled through terror, but she had never ruled through kindness. And now here it was showing its power. The queen studied Jalen's face, the determination in his eyes, the steady hand that refused to tremble. That small, fragile human was teaching a lesson centuries in the making. Fear was not the only way to command the impossible. Her commanders continued to whisper, uneasy. "Majesty, this human is foolish. He cannot succeed." The queen's gaze hardened. Foolish, yes. But pay attention. Fools sometimes see truths that kings and queens miss. She leaned forward again, observing the bond forming between the human and her beast. "Do not act," she commanded. "Watch. Learn. Do not interfere." Hours passed. The human remained, kneeling, feeding, speaking softly. The beast rested its massive head near him, breathing easier than it had in centuries. Above, the queen watched without blinking. The galaxy could not understand her pause. Her advisors did not understand her inaction. But she did. There was power here, not in destruction but in connection. A human had dared to act where no one else would. And the beast had listened. The queen's golden eyes softened slightly. She had ruled for millennia, yet she had never encountered something like this. Perhaps this was what she had been missing. Perhaps she had relied too much on fear and control. Here was courage and care paired in a way that defied logic. Here was a human who did not flee, who did not fight, but who acted with heart. And for the first time in centuries, the queen wondered, maybe she had underestimated humans. The shadow of the queen's warship stretched across the planet as it descended. Its enormous hull blocked out the stars. Below, the chains of the beast rattled with every tremor caused by the ship's landing. Jalen stood beside it, calm but alert. He had no weapons, no shields, and no plan to fight. All he had was courage and a human's reckless heart. The crew on his ship shouted over the radios, begging him to retreat. But he did not move. He had promised the creature he would stay. The massive doors of the warship opened, and the queen herself stepped onto the planet. Her presence made the ground shake. Even the beast, huge and ancient, tensed as her shadow fell over it. Jalen did not flinch. He knelt slightly, hands raised in peace. His heart pounded, but he remained steady. He knew this was the moment of judgment. Everything could end here, yet he did not fear death. He only feared leaving the creature alone. The queen's golden eyes locked onto him. She studied him closely. "Human," she said, her voice low and powerful, "you stand where no one dares. You touch what no one survives. Why?" Jalen swallowed, then spoke with calm honesty. "Because he is not your weapon. He is not your prisoner. He is in pain. I cannot leave him alone." The queen's eyes narrowed, studying his words, searching for hidden meaning. "You are reckless," she said, stepping closer. "You defy reason. You defy my command. Do you know what happens to those who challenge me?" "I do," Jalen replied quietly. "But I also know what happens if I do nothing. He suffers. I can help. That is all I need to do." The queen blinked, surprised by his straightforwardness. Most beings would beg or lie. He did neither. The beast shifted slightly, lifting its massive head to watch the human. Its golden eyes seemed to say something no words could convey. It had learned to trust him, and it was ready to follow his lead if the queen acted. That trust was a strange thing for the queen to see. She had commanded obedience for centuries through fear and dominance. This was different. The creature obeyed out of choice, not chains. The queen's fleet waited silently in orbit, ready to destroy the human at her command. Her commanders whispered nervously, "Majesty, he cannot succeed. Shall we fire?" "Do not act," the queen said. Her voice was calm but sharp. She herself did not yet know why she hesitated. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was a strange respect forming inside her. She studied the human kneeling beside her beast. "You are different from all others," she said finally. "Why does he not fear me?" "Because he does not see me as a threat," the beast seemed to say with its gaze. Jalen smiled faintly. "He is not a weapon. He is not a ruler. He is a creature in pain. And I am just here to help." The queen's golden eyes flicked to the beast. For the first time she realized she might not control it fully, not through chains, not through fear. Her voice hardened. "Do you think your small courage can change the rules of the galaxy? That one human can tame what I have controlled for centuries." Jalen shook his head gently. "I do not try to tame. I only try to help. If he chooses, he will follow me. If not, I will leave. That is all I can do." The queen studied him, surprised by his honesty. She had never met a being so fearless, so certain, and so calm in front of her wrath. The beast shifted closer to Jalen, lowering its massive head until it rested almost on him. Sparks of energy ran through the contact of their hands. The queen's eyes widened slightly. She had never seen such a bond form between a human and her creature. It was not submission. It was not fear. It was trust, born from care, patience, and courage. The queen felt something unfamiliar stir in her chest. Something she had not experienced in centuries: uncertainty. "Do you think the galaxy will believe this?" her commander whispered. "A human, controlling my beast?" The queen ignored the question. She continued to watch, unsure if she wanted to destroy or learn. She had come prepared to judge, to punish, to reclaim her property. But the sight before her changed something. The creature could have attacked, destroyed, or fled. It did none of these things. It stayed calm beside the human. Jalen looked up at her, still kneeling. "You don't have to destroy him," he said softly. "He does not want to fight you. He only wants to survive, like any creature would." The queen felt a flicker of surprise. Could a human truly see so clearly? Could they act with such honesty and courage? She studied him longer, letting the words sink in. Perhaps she had ruled too long with fear. Perhaps strength was not the only way to command respect. For a long moment neither spoke. The fleet waited. The planet held its breath. The beast rested, massive head still near Jalen. Sparks of energy ran through them, a silent signal of trust and connection. And the queen realized that what she had feared, loss of control, was also something she could not punish. To punish would break the bond the human had built. To leave it intact would change the future. Finally, the queen spoke again, her voice quieter, almost thoughtful. "You are reckless," she said. "You risk death for something you cannot control." Jalen nodded. "I do. But sometimes courage matters more than control. Sometimes kindness matters more than fear. That is all I can do." The queen stared at him, unsure if she should admire or destroy him. But for the first time she paused. The chains rattled slightly, but the beast did not move against her. It had made a choice. It had chosen trust. And in that choice the human had won, not with weapons, not with force, but with courage and care. The queen's golden eyes glinted as she realized the truth. This human had changed the rules, if only for a moment. She could punish him, take back her beast, and return to fear. Or she could see what humans might teach her. For now she decided to wait, to observe, to see what came next. The human, kneeling beside the ancient beast, had survived judgment. And in doing so, he had begun to change the ravenous queen herself. The stars reflected off the massive scales of the beast as it stood beside Jalen, calm and almost peaceful. The ravenous queen's warship hovered silently above the planet, But for the first time she did not feel the need to command, to threaten, or to punish. She had watched, judged, and for once she realized that strength alone was not the only power in the galaxy. Jalen stood slowly, brushing dust from his suit. He looked at the beast, feeling a mix of awe and relief. He had not thought of victory or reward. He had only thought of helping. The creature shifted slightly, nudging him gently with its massive head. Sparks of energy ran along its scales, a quiet signal of trust. Jalen smiled faintly. "You're free to choose," he whispered. "No chains, no threats. Just stay if you want or go if you must." The queen stepped forward from her ship, her presence massive but strangely calm. Her golden eyes studied both human and beast. She did not speak with anger. She did not demand obedience. She had seen something new, courage that did not fight with weapons, trust that did not bow to fear, and care that outshone control. It was unfamiliar, but she recognized its value. "You are different," she said finally, her voice echoing across the plains. "Human, you risked your life where no one else would dare. You did not command. You did not threaten. Yet the creature responded to you. Why?" Jalen looked up at her, calm and honest. "Because I did not want to control it. I wanted to help it. I do not rule with fear. I do not rule with strength. I only act when I can make a difference. That is all I can do." The queen's eyes flicked to the beast. It shifted closer to Jalen, massive head resting lightly against him. Sparks of energy glimmered faintly as the connection ran between them. For centuries she had ruled beasts through power and fear. And yet, here was proof that choice, care, and courage could create bonds stronger than chains. She had never felt such a thing. She had never considered that weakness, in the eyes of the galaxy, could become strength. Her fleet above whispered nervously through their communications. "Majesty, what do you intend?" one asked. "The human is reckless. He cannot control it." The queen's lips curved slightly. "No," she said softly. "He does not need to control it. He has taught something even I have forgotten, that respect can be earned, not forced." The advisors exchanged uncertain glances. The queen had broken every rule she had ever known, yet she felt no regret. Jalen stood, facing the queen and the vast warship above. "You do not need to punish me," he said. "I have done what I could. The rest is your choice." The queen considered the words, the calm honesty, and the courage that had carried him this far. For the first time in centuries she felt unsure of the proper course. Power demanded obedience, but she had seen something stronger than obedience. She had seen trust born from choice. The beast rumbled softly, a low vibration that shook the ground but was not threatening. It had accepted Jalen, and it had decided to stay near him. The queen blinked, realizing that even the fiercest of creatures could learn, could respond, and could follow without chains. It was a small revelation, but it changed her perspective. Perhaps it was time to rethink how she ruled. Perhaps terror was not the only way to command loyalty. Across the galaxy, sensors picked up the unusual sight. Humans standing beside what had been feared as an unstoppable monster. Aliens whispered in disbelief, sharing reports of courage that had no weapons, bravery that had no shields. It was a quiet victory, not one of conquest, but one of respect. Humanity, often underestimated, had shown that heart and care could overcome fear and power. The queen finally spoke again, her voice carrying authority but without anger. "You have shown something rare, human. I will not harm you. And I will not take the beast from you. It is free to follow or not as it chooses." Jalen nodded once. "Thank you," he said simply. "That is all I wanted. Freedom and safety. Nothing more." The beast shifted its massive head closer, nuzzling him in quiet gratitude. For a long moment, silence fell over the planet. The wind moved across the plains. The energy between human and beast flickered softly, a quiet bond stronger than any chain. Jalen realized he had survived not because he was stronger, but because he had acted without fear, with care, and with courage. That was a power no weapon could match. The queen's golden eyes softened as she considered the future. She had always ruled with fear, but perhaps there was a lesson here. Perhaps strength alone did not guarantee loyalty, obedience, or respect. She had seen a human, small and fragile in comparison, stand where no one else dared, and she had witnessed the impossible, a creature of terror choosing trust over rage. The beast finally moved, taking a step back, but keeping its eyes on Jalen. It had learned something too. That even the most ancient and feared creatures could be treated with care and patience. That courage and kindness could create bonds where fear and strength had failed. And for Jalen that was enough. He had begun a change that others would not understand, but the universe would feel its ripple for years to come. The queen turned back to her ship, giving a final glance at the human and the beast. She did not speak. She did not command. She had learned that sometimes victory was not about domination, but about understanding. And sometimes, the smallest actions of a single human could change even the oldest, fiercest rulers in the galaxy. Jalen knelt one last time beside the beast, whispering, "You are free. Always." The creature rumbled, massive wings stretching slightly, as if acknowledging the human's words. Together they stood under the stars, quiet and powerful in a way the galaxy had never expected. Across distant worlds, tales of courage spread. Not of battle, not of conquest, but of a human who dared to help what everyone else feared. Humanity had not gained a crown, an empire, or a throne. They had gained respect. They had shown that courage and care could change even the hearts of gods and beasts alike. And in that quiet victory Jalen smiled. He had done nothing extraordinary by the galaxy's standards. But he had done everything right for one ancient, ravenous beast, and that was enough.